Good morning, guys. How you doing? Happy Sunday. Back with another stream. Anxious to get this plane across the country to Hawaii, so I figured I'd take another trip today. This time it's going to be crossing some pretty high terrain, and should be a fun trip. Appreciate you guys joining. This is episode number 6, I believe, in the V-Flight Air Cirrus SR20, modeled according to one of our members of the VR Aviators group on Facebook. That's modeled pretty close to the real thing. Also got some good advice on flaps, making sure not to put the 20-degree flaps in until you're about 119 nautical miles per hour. So, or sorry, knots per hour. So that was a good suggestion, but did say that the nose comes up when flaps go up and nose goes down when the flaps, sorry, vice versa. Goes down when the flaps come up and up when the flaps go down. So that's pretty common for the plane. But yeah, I have to put the flaps in when the plane's a little bit slower going forward. So anyway, something to remember and learn, and good to know. So anyway, we're going to get on with the trip here. Let me get the music off here. And we're sitting here at, where the hell are we? K Tango Alpha Delta, which is Trinidad, Perry Stokes, Trinidad. Okay, it's where we left off. And unfortunately, I don't have, I couldn't find any jobs. Any assignments to pull in, so we're gonna have to go assignmentless, but that's all right. So let me show you what we got planned here today to cross these this high terrain. I have to be flying pretty high today, going from KTAD or K Tango Alpha Delta Perry Stokes to Four Corners Regional, and I believe that's in is it New Mexico? I think right here, Four Corners Regional. That's where we'll be heading. So that elevation is 6,000, roughly 6,000. Sorry, 5,500. But take a look at this terrain we have to cross here. So we're talking 10,008, 9,008, 11,000. But what I'm doing here is I'm taking a assigned route here to kind of go through this pass. So I'm gonna fly at 14,000 feet, and that should be fine. Max peaks here around 10, so we should be fine there. You get some nice views as we cross these mountains, and you can see here we're going to cross over here and then take this route, defined route, into Brazo, and this is the V368 route, which is basically what we're hammering the whole way here from here on, and that takes us right into on a good path right into Farmington. So that's the idea. 202 nautical miles. I've got my flight plan ready to load into the GPS. Again, we're going to fly at 14,000, which is probably the highest I've flown in this plane, which would be fun. And unfortunately, the flight plan go still isn't working. I monkeyed around with that a bunch yesterday and could not get it working. So I do have I'll have the route up there, but we're not going to see any tracking today. But I'll keep track of where we are in the flight. Just to show you where we are in FSEconomy, still at about 120K. I got 45 gallons in my Cirrus, and we're just going to take off from KTAD and no stops in between. We're just going to fly as fast as we can and get to Farmington. So that's the plan. Pretty straightforward. But I appreciate you guys joining the stream again, and we'll get to it here. So let's get in the plane and get everything squared away. All right, so let me get myself centered here. All righty, check our frame rates. We're getting 23, 22. I do have fly inside on the higher rate, and yeah, so let's do it. So Let's get our mixture to full. Power to about 30% is usually where I put it, and we'll go battery on, and I'll use the start button here. Clear prop. Good start there. PFD coming online. And let's get our alternators on, our avionics coming on, nav light, strobe light, landing light, pitot heat. Let's see, what's the temperature? 4 Celsius, so we'll keep the pitot heat on. There's our GPS. Let's get FSEconomy loaded. Colin, how you doing? Don't forget the oxygen. Don't want to. Yeah, right. Exactly. I've got that turned off, I believe. Let me just check here. I'm going to check flying set. I believe I've got that. The simulate blackout, red out, and hypoxia effects. I've got that turned off. But yeah, I'll definitely want to use the oxygen. Let's see. Let's get FSEconomy rolling here. Just anxious to get this plane to California so we can ship it to Hawaii. Just anxious to get it going. All right, so I got FSEconomy rolling here. Just make sure we're in progress. Cool. And let's just see what I got here. Okay, so I want to get my flight plan loaded. Right there. Just easier than entering it in all manually. And I just like to check it, make sure. Where's my cursor? And there it is. Beautiful. All right, so we've got, let's get our GPS on CDI. So we've got, there's our first waypoint. Let me get the reflections off these. All right, so there's our first waypoint. Our total trip is right here. Let's take a look at that. We've got 189 nautical miles. Okay. So it's a little shorter than I thought. That's good. And that's all set. All right, so oxygen's there. We're gonna have to make sure the oxygen is working. And let's just go to idle here. We're gonna want to take off to the. Let's do this. Let's get our nearest airport. You know what's? Do we have a flight plan here? Oh, that's nice. I like that. I'd rather have that than nearest airport because this way we could just see everything right there. The flight plan. Get our inset in here. And transponder. Let that squawk in altitude at BFR 1200. Good to go. And we already have our CTAF set for this airport. Just double check that. Finder, KTAD, frequencies, yep. Let's see, SETCOM 2 to 119.02.
COM2 set to 119.02.
Let's see if we can get some weather. No weather? No weather. Oh well. Okay, we're going to be taking off, let's see, let's look at the runway 21, right? Runway 21. And I think it's runway 21. Hard to see here. I'm going to go that way. Yeah, runway 21. Off to a bunch of different GPS vectors, which is going to be interesting. So let's get our myself situated here. All right, so let's do pre-taxi checklist. Engine start, we already did that. So 4 taxi, flaps up. Yep. Radios, avionics are set. Cabin heat's good. Fuel selector is good. Okay. Parking brake, we're going to set that off. We're going to check the brakes, which we'll do directional. Let's check our, let's go outside and just make sure all our controls are working. Rudder's working. Good. And let's get our taxi on here. Perry Stokes traffic. Cirrus 328 Tango Delta taxiing to runway 21 for departure to the west. Perry Stokes. All right. Getting off the ground. Oh wait, let me just hold on a second here. Before I get on this runway, I think I'm confused. We want to go west. This airport's a little confusing. Brakes work. Just check my binder again, and the airport. This is why I wish I knew where the hell I was, so... Let me just see where I am here. That's... I guess I could... yeah, I'll just take off on 2-1. Okay. All right, we're just going to take off on 2-1. Beautiful. This is 2-1 here. We'll just take off right from this point right here. Perry Stokes traffic, Cirrus 328 Tango Delta departing runway 21. Perry Stokes. A little unconventional, but I guess actually I should go this way. Oh well. Yeah, we'll go this way. We'll go to the north. I just want to get in the air. All right, here we go. Flaps to 1. And we're going to assume everything is... We're going to assume checklist is good, and let's get in the air. Oh, actually, hold on. Let me set my altimeter. I'm going to go up to 14K. Make sure I turn my oxygen on. Oops. Come on. I know there's a way to do this in plane command. I just don't want to mess up the standard barometer setting because sometimes... Oh. Stop. There you go. All right, that's our altitude heading, our altitude setting, and we are good to go. So let's light this candle. Come on, come on. Stop, 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 stop. A little squirrely this morning. Oops. Wow, that's not good. Oh. I can't... Oh, man. Okay, let's go up. Get up, get up. My camera angle got messed up there. That was wild. All right, well, at least we're okay here. That was strange. All right. Whew. All right, flaps up. What's up with the... Oh, look at my... Oh, for some reason my... I didn't see that. This is why you do a checklist. Trim was all messed up. That's why you do a checklist, see? That's why you do a checklist. All right. Anyway. That's what I would call a pretty amateur takeoff there. Yeah, when I flipped it back to the cabin view, that it was just kind of weird. It was kind of off. All right, so let's let me get the autopilot on here. And we'll climb at 600 feet per minute. Got a long way to climb. Yeah, that was a nasty, nasty takeoff there. Metal. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that. I'm flying the V-Flight Air SR20. It's the Cirrus SR20, a fun plane to fly. And it's made by V-Flight Air. I'm using a Oculus Rift. You can see right in the title and in the description all the stuff that I'm using. But yeah, this is an Oculus Rift CB1 that I'm using. All right, so we're catching our heading here, our GPS vector. Going to make our crossing of these aren't the Rockies, I don't believe, but they're lower part of the Continental Divide, if you will, I believe. Make it a nice climb, 600 feet per minute. I guess we'll go to oxygen at 10,000. And after we cross, I'll start to descend down. Let's switch to the right tank. Good progress here. I love that shot. It's awesome. All right, climbing into almost 9,000, 8,800 coming up. Now I did set the flight plan so that we're kind of going in the passes, which is which is cool. So we should be fine. Actually, 14,000 is probably a little higher than we need to be, but why not? Let me start to I'm just starting to lean the engine out a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and put the oxygen on. We got O2. Going to have a couple of subscriber questions today on this flight, and we've got about an hour and 20-minute flight, so actually that'll probably pick up a little bit once we get to altitude. And we're going to do a straight-in landing at Farmington. So just check the frame rates here. We got 17 in X-Plane and 95 in the Oculus Rift. So 17 is definitely not optimal, but I do have it on the higher setting and flying side. So that's one of the sometimes you pay the price for that. But we're going to start to get into ortho. Well, actually, not this flight. Probably the next flight. We'll get into ortho, but this should be some pretty nice scenery as we get into these mountains. All right, coming up to 10,000 feet. 2 miles up from sea level. After all that flat terrain, what, maybe 1,000 miles of flat terrain, it's finally nice to see some mountains. Been a long trip from central Pennsylvania, that's for sure. I think I've probably come about, I want to say 1,500 miles, maybe more so far, and I've probably got about 800 miles left to get to LAX. Almost there. Well, I shouldn't say almost there. Getting there. Getting closer. You know, at first when I was when I checked on V-Flight Air about the G1000, whether they were going to go with the Laminar G1000, I was like, oh, they shouldn't. They should really go with the standard one. I'm actually glad they're sticking with their own. Because I think their G1000 is a little better. I mean, there's some things that are better on the Laminar Research one, and there's some things that are better on this. But this fits this plane, and it's fine. You know, I think it's solid, and if they're going to continue to improve it, then it's fine with me. So, yeah, at first I was like, oh, they should go with the one that Laminar Research came out with in 11.10, but I think sticking with this one is just fine. So anyway, all right, just passed through 11,000. No altitude sickness or shortness of breath yet. We got the oxygen mask on, and we are good to go. Although the simulator seems to be chugging along here. -7 degrees outside. I don't think we have to worry about ice, but oops. Switching scenery there. Colin, do you mean if you mean the PDF and the PFD and the MFD? Yes. So if I click this PFD, it's like right in front of me, hovering in space in the cockpit, and I could see it very, very clearly. Probably as you see it right now, that's how I'm seeing it. Now you're looking at the Oculus mirror, so that's how I see it. I just basically click it back like that, and the MFD is the same. It hovers in space in the cockpit, so I can get a real good close-up view of it. So yeah, they've done that nicely. That doesn't work with the standard G1000 laminar. They don't have that capability, so that's one major difference that I like about the V-Flight Air's G1000. And the fact that it works. So it holds a flight plan, and the autopilot works well, so I think their system is just fine. But yeah, that's a nice feature to have that pop up. The terrain isn't 3D. On the G1000 on laminar, it's more 3D, which is kind of cool, but not that big of a deal. All right, we're still climbing here. 100 knots. Check our engine status, make sure everything's okay there. Our fuel flow is at 10. We're good on... We're in the green on everything. We could probably lean it out a little bit more, but I'm not too worried about... I really want speed, because I want to get there as quick as we can, so I'm happy with 10 gallons per hour. You see our range here is 470. You can pull that out here. You can see the range is 467 nautical miles. So we've got, tells us how many gallons we've got remaining. 3 hours and 55 minutes of gas remaining, which is kind of cool. So we've got all those calculations for you right in the MFD. All right, coming up to 13,000 feet. It's weird, like I know like I'm not high up in an airplane, but I feel like I'm high up in an airplane because of the VR, you know. It's a strange feeling. It's a cool feeling. All right, coming through 13,000. Yeah, for some reason, sometimes it comes back to a cockeyed view there, and you've got to use the mouse to get everything back where it should be. There you go. All right, 13.6. Way up there. And we're going to level off here at 14K in a few minutes. Probably about 30 seconds. Here comes 14. And we'll go from vertical climbing, we'll go right to level flight. You'll watch the airspeed. Let me just pull this up here. You watch the airspeed come down there on the right. There, 400, 300, 200, and it's going to settle off right at 14. 100. There's coming up to 14. Boom, beautiful. And it'll go right to level flight, and you can see the airspeed now starting to come up there. You see our ground speed picking up. And everything's just hunky-dory. Beautiful. Let's check our hour and 14 minutes, 168 nautical miles to our final destination. You can see there's 07 uniform, which is just an airport I used for guidance. So we're going to make a left turn there and head towards the mountain pass there. We can see if that airport's down there. I'm not sure I could see it from this high up. We are pretty high up. Alrighty. Yeah, you're right. I should have lowered the rate of climb in the thin air. You're right. You're absolutely right. But now that we're up at altitude, we're good to go here. And I could actually we're going to pick up hopefully a little bit faster than that. We are up in the thin air, that's for sure. I could tell the frame rates aren't that great. Yeah, we're 16, 15. That is not, those are not good frame rates. So probably because of the mountains and stuff, I guess. So I'll have to go back to, until I get into the ortho scenery, I'm going to have to go back to the lower setting and fly inside, which is a bummer, to get the higher frame rates. Oh well, we'll have to live with it this flight. Although you want to be at least 20 because otherwise you're below simulator time, so that kind of sucks. But now I figure the point where we need to, where we can come down in altitude. So we're making our turn here right now at K07 Victor. We're going to cross that elevation. We have another elevation across here that's about 10,000. So once we get past Bravo, we can start to come down a little bit. I could probably come down to like 10,000 at Bravo. And then we're going to descend into Farmington, which is at 5,500. So right at Bravo, we'll start to come down. We've got a good chunk of time to do that. Sorry, Brazo. B-R-A-Z-O. Brazo. All right, let's see. First turn coming up here. And there we go. One thing I could tell you, this plane makes very nice autopilot turns. It pretty much keeps its vector. It doesn't do the back and forth kind of swaying thing to catch its next route. So it does a nice job of that. Whereas the standard planes like the C-172 and the Cirrus jet, the laminar Cirrus jet, the Vision jet, they kind of rock back and forth to get into the next vector. So B-Flight Air did a nice job with that for sure. All right, so next one's going to be Bloke, 23 miles, so that's going to be a quick one, about 8 minutes. Some nice peaks. I'm sure this will be much nicer in ortho for sure. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I know my head's sticking out of the cabin right now. All right. All right, well, while we're flying here, let's get to some viewer questions, some subscriber questions. See, I pull those up here. All right, so couple things that came. Well, these are. I went back a little bit and got some questions that we could discuss during the flight here. So, Mucker 2002 asks, "Have you backed Pimax?" And what he's referring to is the Pimax 8K VR headset, and I was talking a little bit about that in the last flight. This is a Chinese company. This is their second. I believe their second VR headset. The first one that came out was called the 4K. I talked about this a little bit before, but those are kind of misnomers because the first one, the 4K, was actually two, like I think there were two was it two, 14:4 screens or something like that? I think it was. And they added them up and called it a 4K, which was really a misnomer. They're doing the same thing with the 8K. It's like two 4K screens, so really together it's not 8K. Linus Tech Tips did a review of it, and if you want to check it out, go on his site and you can see it, the Pimax 8K. Now, the Kickstarter has been very successful. They've got 4.2 million in money and 6,000 backers. So they've got, you know, there's a lot of interest in that particular device now, which is a good thing because it shows you that, you know, there's a big interest in higher definition VR, right, which is a good thing. The question I have is, you know, tracking, compatibility with software. Apparently you can use the Vive Lighthouse radio or cameras with it. I don't have those. I have a Rift, so it's really outside my system. So I would have to buy the whole thing with their cameras. It's like $800 to do that. So I'm kind of like, because of the deceptive advertising, if you will, and maybe deceptive is a strong word, but when you call something 8K that's not really 8K, that's deceptive. So, and because Linus's review wasn't stellar, I don't feel comfortable shelling out money, especially that they have 4.2 million already. They don't need my money to make the thing happen. Okay, they better be able to make it happen with 4.2 million. So I'll wait and see. And even then, I'll wait and see what the incumbent VR companies like, you know, Vive and HTC and Oculus do with their next gens. I would say their next gens are probably going to start to talk about sometime mid next year. I would imagine we'll start to hear a little bit about next gen. I'm sure they want to get past Christmas and sell as many of the current systems as you can, right? Which are, by the way, are stable systems that work well. You know, a lot of the kinks have been ironed out over the last 6 months. So, you know, when you get into the Pimax 8K, you really don't know. You're kind of getting a new thing that backed by a company that really doesn't have much of a track record in VR. So, in any event, the answer is no. I haven't backed them, and I thought about all those things before looking at it and decided not to. But let's see what happens. Like I said, they've got 4.4 million, which is good. I think I just knocked my camera there, guys. They've got 4.4 million, which is good, and 4.2 million. They're gonna have to deliver on a lot of promises because they reached all their stretch goals. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm sort of like wait and see on it. So that's the answer to that one. But in that vein, The who makes it? Was it I can't remember who makes it. Asus? I think it's the Asus. Maybe it's the Acer. I'm not sure. Either Asus or Acer. Linus Tech Tips just did a review of their mixed reality headset. It's a VR headset with higher definition. I think it's got 2K or maybe it's 14.4. I think it's 14.4 of definition, but it's using an LCD screen, which apparently has some issues. And it doesn't do mixed reality, according to Linus. Even though it's called the mixed reality headset, it has no mixed reality functionality. Maybe that's coming, I don't know, but it's like $400. The good thing is it's inside-out tracking, so you don't need to set up cameras or any of that. But we all know that inside-out tracking is new and probably not going to be as effective as outside-in tracking. But apparently it does work. And if you're interested in that, check out Linus. I'm not sure what it's compatible with as far as Steam and as far as Vive and Oculus. I don't know if you can use it with X-Plane. I'm not sure. A little concerned about the LCD screen. Apparently, there's some glazing around the edges. Most of the VR uses OLED screens, which are more higher density, better for close-up graphics. So I don't know. I don't think he was too impressed with it, so you might want to check out that review. Anyway, so that's it on VR headsets. Oh, crap, I lost my air server. All right, let me just do something here. Hold on. Okay. Next question, Tim was asking, wondering if, here, let me just do this, plug this thing in here, then I won't. 1 second, guys. There we go. All right, so that's that on the headsets. Let's see if any questions on that stuff. Yeah, you're right. It's not as many dollars as Oculus and Facebook have. I would bank that Oculus's next gen and HTC's next gen are going to be, much more, maybe credible is the right word. I don't know. Pimax is, like I said, I don't like the fact that they call it an 8K headset when it's not really an 8K headset, And by the way, if you're running two 4K displays inside that headset, you better have a pretty powerful PC to crank that in VR. You may need, I think you might need 2 graphics cards for it. Read the fine print on their Kickstarter, but I remember hearing that you might need two GPUs for that, and I would say you probably need at least 1080s or better. So you want to use that device, you better be prepared to build a pretty monster PC. So I'm happy with my PC. I'm happy with what I have in X-Plane with the Rift right now. It's just fine for me. So in any event, that's that. Donovan, how you doing? Glad to see you. All right, so Tim was wondering if you're able to see displays clearly in VR on this plane, and he was talking about the C172. And if you check out, I've got a VR flight simulation guide, and that question is answered in there. Tim asked this question a while ago, and I answered it for him in the comments on YouTube. But yeah, the higher the definition you use in fly inside, the better super sampling you use on the Rift, all makes up your ability to see things in the cockpit. And when I have things cranked up on the 172, I could see stuff on there with no problem at all. But yeah, so that's really not an issue. Now with this plane, it's a little bit fuzzy. You have to lean in a little bit because the colors are different, and you're looking at displays rather than instruments. The instruments look much better, but in any event, it's definitely readable, if you will. Let's see. Still not. Yeah, right. So next question, Robert Riley. Where can I get a plugin, the plugin you use for the altimeter, vertical speed, ground speed that shows on the bottom of your screen. So you guys can see that. I think it's working on there. Is it working? Yeah. Right below the yoke camera. That's the thing called Bene Overlay. BENE Overlay. Just search it on Google. It's a plugin that you can, or a little app that you can run on your PC that allows you to integrate that with OBS and show that on your screen. So you can check that out. Pretty simple. All right. Yeah, frame rates are still shitty. Let's see. Rick, in VR, is VR like the effects of the old ViewMasters we used as kids, or even better? You guys know what a ViewMaster is? Let me see if I can find a ViewMaster. Hold on. That's a ViewMaster. I don't know if you guys remember that. It had these little wheels that you would put in, and it was a stereoscopic viewer made by GAF. Henry Fonda used to actually do the commercials for it. The GAF ViewMaster, and I had one of these things, and you could see things in 3D. So, I mean, it is in a sense like that because it's 3D, and they do actually still make the ViewMaster, believe it or not. But yeah, I mean, it is in a sense like that because it's 3D, but it's very different because you're getting, you know, you're getting depth of field and you're getting presence that you're, you know, actually in the area that you are in, right? So it's kind of like ViewMaster. It's got some of those similarities because it's 3D and it's stereoscopic, but it's the same, yeah, like it's the same basic concept, but there's more to it, if you will. Yeah, ViewMaster. I loved my ViewMaster. It was awesome. So yeah, so it is kind of like that same kind of thing. Let me see what we got here. Let me just get up here a little bit. Oops. All right. So we are heading towards. Let's see. We're heading towards Wapri, 26 miles from Wapri. So let me see where that. Let's switch over where that puts us here. So it puts us right about in the middle of Bloke and Wapri. So we still have a few more mountains to cross, and then we'll start to descend. All right, last question. Dennis asks, "You're not using touch hand controllers. I've wondered if one uses touch controllers, how readily can you still operate a mouse, your yoke, throttles, etc.?" So, to answer that question, I got that question a lot about the touch controllers, and I mean it's usable. It could be usable if you had one in your right hand, let's say, and you wanted to manipulate things. I think it's got to get a little bit better. Maybe it'll get better with native VR. It's okay in flying side. I think that using things like plane command in VR make things a lot faster, you know, for switching frequencies and stuff like that, than fumbling around with a touch controller. In FSX, you can actually, in flying side, you can actually use the touch controller to control the yoke, which is really kind of weird. And I know in the native VR of X-Plane, you're going to be able to do that too, which is going to be kind of strange. But that's not for me. I'd rather have my hands on a physical yoke. I think the mouse is easier to use than the touch controller. You know, I could have a touch controller in my hand and, like, you know, kind of like, you know, grab the throttle with my thumb or something like that. You could do it, but it's kind of like, it's a little bit awkward, you know. So I don't really find myself interested in using touch controllers for in flight at all. So, like I said, plane command and voice controls in VR just seem to be much better. All right, so that's gonna about do it for the viewer questions. We got 123 miles left to go. Once I get past this range, I'm going to start to descend. I'm going to descend down to, well, we'll go down to 10,000, I think. Let me just see. Once we get to Brazo. Well, actually, Brazo, let's see, we want to stay. Yeah, we can probably go down to 12,000 at Brazo is what we'll do. Get a drink of water, guys. 1 sec. Standing outside the plane here. See, there's the inside of the cockpit. Kind of a strange view. Peering inside the window. That's kind of weird, isn't it? All right. Yeah, wing walking, right, exactly. Wing walking. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's wrong with Flight Plan Go. I'm going to write those guys. Maybe, I'm thinking that maybe they do their testing when the new release of X-Plane comes out, so they're not going to do anything during the beta. It's unfortunate because I really like to have that live moving map. Just helps you with everything. Look, when you're on the ground, it helps you when you're navigating. It's really nice to have that, and unfortunately, we're missing that right now. So perhaps it'll come into play. I'm wondering too, like on my X-Plane screen, I have this little red. In red text, it says XPR freeze. I don't know what that means. Any of you guys know what that means? 4 flights working? Okay, yeah, you know, I've been tempted to go to 4 flight. It's $100 a year. I've been tempted to go to 4 flight. I may bite the bullet on it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I have this. It's in red text on the X-Plane screen. It says XPR freeze. And you guys know what that means? It's been on there for... I thought it might have something to do with X-Plane Realistic, but that seems to be running fine. I'm not sure what that means. XPR freeze. Donovan, do you use 4 flight? And the question I have about 4 flight is, if you create a flight plan on 4 flight, can you push it to the GPS in X-Plane? In particular, this GPS in the V-Flight Air. Because if I could create a flight plan in 4 flight and just automatically push it to the GPS, that would be really cool to do that. Because then I could dynamically change things while I'm flying, which would be pretty damn cool. So you can push it. Okay, you haven't found a way to do that. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're not flying in real life, spending $100 a year on 4 flight, I don't know. Seems like a lot. Especially if Flight Plan Glow works, you know. I mean, I just really use it for Flight Plan Go for live maps, really. And for, you know, looking at the charts on the iPad. And that's really helpful. But, you know, I'm using SkyVector for flight planning, which is, you know, pretty nice to use and easy to use. So, I don't know. I guess 4 flight would be cool to have, but like I said, I just can't justify the $100 a year. Probably time to change tanks. Let's go to the left tank. Yep, definitely time to change tanks. All right, 7 miles to Wapri. And we'll make our turn there and then get over these mountains and start to descend a little bit. I guess in the Grand Canyon area, I'm going to start to get into ortho, so that'd be cool. We're going to go to Grand Canyon Is it Grand Canyon National Airport? That we're going to definitely make a stop there. And then we'll fly from there into Vegas. A couple of hops along the way. I think we could pick up some passengers along the way and make a little bit of money. We'll see. So nobody knows what XPR freeze. I guess I could Google it, right? I've got ortho for all of the ZLA area of Pilot Edge, basically the area that I subscribe to, and also in Hawaii and parts of the Northeast. But I've got a project plan to do much more than that. I want to basically I want to cover most of the U.S. Caribbean areas, and maybe parts of Canada, like definitely Alaska. But yeah, so my goal is to get a hard drive and start to generate. Looking up XPR freeze. Oh, Realistic Pro. Okay, it is with Realistic Pro. Just reading it here. XPR, this is in July. No issue, blah, 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 blah. I'm just reading here. That's not what I was looking at. Let's just see. Get a strange effect when turning on XPR freeze. The camera starts. Oh, I guess it's a. Oh, okay. Let me go to. It's a feature. So let me go to. I'm going to Explain Pro. Where's the freeze function? Is there a freeze function? Oh. Okay. Gotcha. It's a function in Explain Realistic. All right, that's settled. Cool. Yeah, it's a function in Explain Realistic. I just figured it out. When in doubt, Google, right? I love all these people like on Facebook pages, especially like the Explain Next Gen Facebook group. Like people ask questions that in 2 seconds you could Google it and get the answer to, you know. And everybody's like, well, why don't you just Google that, you know? Just Google it. Figure it out. Have you ever heard of Google, right? All right, so getting ready to cross here. $29 miles to Brazo. So once we get past here, I can probably start to come down. Maybe I'll come down to 12,000. Just like looking outside. Pretty cool. Let's take a look outside here. It's an interesting perspective sitting here, you know, 30 yards from the wingtip, watching the plane floating above the air. It's kind of a weird sensation. All right, so I'm going to set my altitude next for 12,000. And once we get over this ridge, we should be good to come down. All right, about a half hour to go, looks like. We got 98 nautical miles to our destination. This is a nice, quick trip. Feels quick, at least. I want to get into that ortho scenery. That's what I want to do. It'll be interesting to see, you know, the line of delineation from the standard scenery to the ortho scenery. Can't do that in a real plane, yeah. You can't do a lot of what we do in X-Plane in a real plane, that's for sure. Like this, you can't do this. Can't do this. That's the coolest shot right there. Well, I'm not sure how realistic that is. It seems like it's going a lot further out than we really are, and then we're like in the same spot. Oh well. I never noticed this, but the keychain jiggles on this plane. That's pretty cool. The keychain jiggles a little bit. That's pretty cool. All right. Yeah, I think definitely after this ridge we can come down. Yeah, so my next thing is I'm looking at hard drives. I'm probably going to get a WD Black hard drive. It's about 200 bucks, 4 terabyte drive. Get that installed, and I'm going to remove all the ortho that I have and rebuild it all from scratch. Higher density, so it'll look better, and make sure I take the time to build out using the right pictures and stuff for that, or the mesh, I should say. And should be cool. Should be really cool. All up and down the West Coast, all up and down the East Coast. That's the plan. And into the Caribbean, Alaska, Hawaii, and parts of Canada. That's the plan. Figure 4 terabyte. Right now I've got, let's see, so it's the LA area out to like Las Vegas. So that's the Pilot Edge ZLA area, and I've got Hawaii and parts of the Northeast, and it's taking up about 110 gig of SSD space, which, you know, you don't really need to use SSD for ortho, because once it's loaded, it's loaded, as long as you have a pretty fast drive. So I think 4 terabyte drive will get me a lot of ortho, definitely East and West Coast. And then Hawaii, like I said, and the other areas I want to do. In particular, Alaska. I really want to check out Alaska. I think that would be very, very cool to see ortho in Alaska. It's going to be quite a project. And that's my next thing to do after I'm finished with these flights. Start working on that. I'll document it, you know, and put it up on, put some videos up on that project, so you guys can, maybe it'll help you guys build your own ortho. So yeah, looking forward to it. All right, yeah, I think we could probably start to descend here. So I'm going to go to vertical speed, and we are going to go down to 3, 4, 5, 500 feet per minute, slow descent. Start to pick up speed. Actually, why don't we go to 400? Bring her down to 12,000. Yeah, farmland in the middle of those mountains is not correct, for sure. That's why, you know, you want to have ortho. Ortho in the Rockies would look cool. Oh yeah, it takes up a lot of space, man. It takes up, especially, like, what is it? I'm doing like 16 pixel rate, I think. I forget what it's called, pixel rate. I want to go to like 18, so that takes up even more, more space. I want to do like, you know, like 18. Like I said, 4 terabyte drive, that should be a lot of space. Plus I could use it for backing up stuff too, and, you know, it's about time I get one. I think I can actually bring this down a little further. We'll go to 11. Go to 11.5. Coming up to Brazo. Once I hit Brazo, I can go down considerably. So by the time we get to Brazo, which is 2 minutes, we probably should just be right at about 11.5. So get over to that. Are we on that left tank? Yep, we're on the left tank. Burning 10 gallons an hour. Plenty of gas. Yeah, okay, so you set yours overnight a few tiles at a time, right? You have them on a separate HD. Yeah, it takes a long time. What pixel density? Is it pixel density? I forget what the parameter's called. It's like 17, 18. Which density did you use, Colin? Just curious. I'm just curious, Donovan, too. What density did you use for your ortho? Just curious. I forget what that parameter is called. I think the standard is like 16, and you can go up to like 19, but I can't remember what the parameter is called. All right, coming to Brazo, and we can actually even come down further. So let's bring her down to 10. It's telling me we got the O2 required button on. I got my O2 on. Oh, there's our turn. O2 just went off. We went below 12.5. Come on back. There you go. Now we should be straight in right for our airport. We got 75 miles. That should go pretty quick. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep this at 11 for now. We'll keep her at 11 now. We can always go down further. Let's see. Use 17 on the edges and 18 for the airport. They did custom overlays of 19 at airports proper. That's a good idea. Okay. You went for 17, Colin. Have the whole UK. Okay, so you did 17. Allion Games Guides. I'm gonna check him. Do you have a? Does he have? I guess he's got a YouTube channel, Allion Games. I'm gonna see what that. Okay, I'm gonna. He got some. Oh, cool. Excellent. I'll check him out. Cool. Thank you. I'll check him out. Awesome. Great. Yeah, I've got a couple of guides, but I want to get more detailed on it, you know. There are 4, 2 basic and then 2 updated, which he calls advanced. Okay, I'll check out his channel and read up on it, that's for sure. Thank you. That's good info. Oof. Terrible frame rates. Oof. That's why it feels like we're moving in a washing machine. All right, so just to double check here, so we're at, we're gonna have to get down to 5,500. Yep, 5,500. He warned he tends to ramble. Okay, but if you can bear with him, he does a good job of explaining everything. All right, cool. Thanks, man. I'll definitely check him out. That's for sure. All right, so I think once I get over this ridge here, we'll start to gently come down to about 7,000. Really slow. Well, we don't need oxygen anymore, right? O2 is off. What I could do is let me just set this to 7,000. Damn it. All right, we'll set it right there. And once we get over that ridge, I'll start to head down to 75. I'm going to go real slow. Got 60 miles, so. Flew a small cross-country flight in the S50 last night. Yeah, it's a great plane, man. It's a great plane. It's fun to fly, you know, and it's not too tough to land. I'm not the greatest with jets, especially the big iron jets. So it's pretty easy to land, and it's nimble. It is very sensitive, though. Like, it's very sensitive. But I like it. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to fly. One second, guys. Get down to GSPs on landing. Yes, that's what I love about it. You know, if you're used to landing GA planes at like 75, 80 knots, that plane's pretty much a breeze to land. And it operates a lot like the SR20, which I'm really used to, so just a lot of fun. All right, let's start to bring this puppy down. We'll go 200 feet per minute. That's slow. Nice and slow. Picking up our airspeed. Made a successful crossing of the mountains. I think the next stop we should be able to get to Grand Canyon City. I think we should be able to get that far. So, and then from there we'll be going into Las Vegas. So we're getting there. Like I said, I can't wait to get into the ortho because this scenery is kind of boring, if you ask me. But yeah, that I was kind of hoping that someone would actually make that plane and model it like correctly. I'm not sure if it may be modeled correctly. I don't know because I was watching some videos on the SF50, the Cirrus videos flying it, and they basically the review of that plane says that, or jet says that it's designed to fly, you know, by autopilot, and that the movements are very, very tight, if you will. So I don't know. I mean, it'd be really cool if V-Flight Air did it, although they've got their hands full with about 5 other planes. But it'd be cool if someone really made a study level of that plane, because I think it's going to be a really popular plane in general aviation. It's really been in production, I think, since what, August. So I think it's going to be a pretty popular plane. And it's cool. It's just fun to fly, and I just want to get it in FSEconomy because 6 passengers, you can make a lot of money with that plane. You really can. I'm looking at the Eclipse 550 too, the Arabesque plane. I'm not sure how many that holds, but I'm thinking about that one too, because I think that jet is similar in landing, so it's not a big jump from flying GA planes to flying that. You know, so anyway, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, before it had the G1000, the Vision Jet was pretty much kind of like a joke in X-plane. But now that it's got that real navigation, although a lot of those, like the input panels don't work, which would be kind of cool if they did work. So there's a lot missing on the plane. You know what I noticed too is it doesn't have 3 green for the landing gear. At least I didn't notice where it had the lights for landing gear status, and I'm pretty sure the real one's got that, right? But I couldn't find it anywhere. So if that's not in the plane, that's got to be modeled. That's for sure. All right, I'm gonna increase my rate of descent here to 400. More barren land. Although I'm sure in real life it's not like this. This is just, because it's the laminar, the X-plane scenery, the standard default scenery. Let's see if the frame rates have gotten any better. Yeah, they're at 20, which is good. Yeah, I guess we were in a lot of autogen with trees and stuff like that, and that I know, like when you fly in the Northeast, it just eats up frames because of all the trees. And I have real world objects at like medium, so that's a big frame rate. I think that's just a big frame rate eater when you've got like dense forests and stuff like that. All right, pushing almost 160, so 12 minutes. Wow, nice. 12 minutes to our destination. 38 miles. So 400 feet per minute, so gonna be cutting it kind of close. Let's go to 500. Oops. let's see, Donovan. I think that's true of all Cirrus planes. Meant to be flying by autopilot. Yeah. I guess maybe the SR20, the prop plane's less than definitely the jet. Yeah, I was thinking about the citation. I'm not sure. Is it Airbus that makes that, or not Airbus? Carinado. I'm not wild about the Carinado planes. The B1900D Colin is a really nice plane in VR. It's all the controls and instruments look really cool. It's fun to fly. You can look at the back of the cabin. It's nice in VR. I like it. They did a nice job of modeling that plane. It's a frame rate eater like most Carinado planes, but it's a fun plane to fly. That's for sure. Yeah, I would imagine that's right. I would say that the 3 green would be on the touch screens. But you got to put it someplace, right? You got to have indication of it somewhere. I think I see an airport out there. Something going on out there. All right. Start to slow up here. We're going straight into Farmington, so I'm just going to assume clearance and all that because it's a Class B, I think. C. So I'm not gonna mess with we don't have ATC, so I'm not gonna be messing with clearances and all that. So we'll just go straight right in. Wheel indications are FAA required. Yeah, equipment, exactly. I'm surprised that Austin allows that. There's no 3 green on the Vision Jet. I'm gonna have to write them an email about that. Actually, if you look at that plane go to the outside, the pilot in there flying it, if you look from the outside view, is Austin Meyer. Yeah, it's pretty funny. All right, so we're 27 miles out. We'll start to slow up a little bit here. There's the plateau right there. All right, leveling off at 75. Plane starting to slow down a little bit. But yeah, I just like, you know what, I like getting in that plane and flying above like California in the ortho and going up about like 15,000 feet. Everything looks so cool and you're moving so quick. It's nice. It's a lot of fun. You know, now when I fly the Cessna, the 172, it feels like I'm driving a car. You know, it feels so slow, you know. Because I'm used to the speed of this plane, which is a little, you know, it's not a lot faster, but it is faster. And, you know, it's maybe like 20 knots. I don't see my airport. But we should be coming straight in. I should see it at 10 miles. And we're 22 out. I will tell you that the G1000 and the SF50 moves really like silky smooth. I noticed that, like the terrain map just moves really, really smooth. Yeah, right, exactly. You get spoiled with the speed, you know. Although I do prefer flying, you know, obviously flying faster for sure. Just to you know, point A to point B, just a lot quicker. All right, we got our airport. Let's see. Well, we got civilization, it looks like. I think I see the airport. We'll look at 10 miles. I want to thank you guys for joining the stream. I appreciate it. Make sure you if you subscribe to Bambino Games, hit that little bell icon so you get a notification when I'm streaming or if I put up a new video. I got on a little bit of a tangent there. I'm still playing Gold Rush the game a little bit just because it's a fun game, but my streaming is going to be more X-Plane because that's what I really love. So, and Aerofly and other VR flight simulators. So we're going to get back in that groove. Just had a little bit of temporary difference there, but in any event, you might see a few streams from Gold Rush. But because I do, like I said, I do like playing it, but most of my content is going to be flight sim related. But yeah, so hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell icon so you'll get a notification when I'm flying or when I put up a video. All right, 14 miles out. Can we see some runway? Yep, there it is. I see it right there. It's an interesting mountain right there, a little interesting peak. Okay, so we're good to go here. Probably the right elevation. We're about 2,000 feet above the runway. We'll just bring it down a little bit more. Let's go down to 7,000. Just bring it down to 7,000. All right, let's get our tank on the right tank, which is the most full tank. We'll go through our gump procedure before we land. Where's my air? There's my airfield right there. Okay. Have to make a little bit of a right turn, but we're pretty much on track. Go to our landing checklist. Descent we already did. Landing, we want mixture full. Okay, fuel pump to boost. Want it full rich and flaps rule as required, autopilot as required. We're going to turn that off. Power lever full forward. Oh, it's bulk landing. Let's see, previous, hold on. Yeah, so we're good on the landing procedure. All right, so we've got 8 miles. Let's just take another look. There's our airfield. We're going to come down to 7,000, so we'll be 1,500 feet above the deck. Get a visual. All right, I think I know where I'm going. All right. Let's see. Gas, we're on the right tank, which is the fullest tank. Undercarriage is welded. The mixture is in and prop we don't have to worry about. Let's take the plane over. Start flying her in. One more. Okay, here we go. We got the plane. Start to slow her down. We don't want to put our flaps in until we're at 119. Learned that today. So we'll start to throttle back. Get ourselves lined up, which we're looking good. Three and 4 miles out. Let's go flaps to 20%. Oh, we got a little civilization finally. It's the first civilization we've seen probably about 800 miles. Let's get flaps to full. Don't want to stall that plane. I want to keep it around 80 knots. Let's get it up to 80 knots. Trimming it up. There's a house on the side of the hill. I love those rows on the side of the hill and the overlay. Yeah, we got a little bit of scenery at this airport. That's nice. Must be one of the airports that Laminar added in. All right, 78 knots. Backing the throttle off slowly. Pitch her up, 73. And throttle back. Nose up. Oop. There we go. Gear up. Missed the first ramp. We'll get the second ramp. Did I say gear up? I meant flaps up. All right, let's get over here. Got to make sure they end the flight in FSEconomy. Big ass jumbo jet, or not jumbo jet, big ass jet for this little airport, don't you think? Wow. Is that an Airbus? That's a big ass plane to be at this airport. That's for sure. This kind of seems out of place, guys. Yes, me. Don't you think? Two of them. Are those MD 80s? I'm not sure what kind of... I don't know the Big Iron very well. I just know that this airport seems a little small to have that big ass plane here. So parking brake.
Brakes set.
Yeah, that's a little big for this place. Anyway, that's our flight. Let me get plane off here. And we're going to go key to off. Switches all off. We're all good. Let me get the FSEconomy just so it knows that we made it. Finish flight. Boom. We are in the right spot. Cool. Yeah, that's a strange... I don't know what the hell that's doing there. Oh, that's right. It's a Class C. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. My bad. Yeah, not into the gold mining. Yeah, that's fine. Some people are into it. I'm into it. Use pitch for speed, throttle for altitude. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at that, Donovan. I'm trying to get better at that. I don't really talk about that when I'm doing it, but I'm trying to get better at doing that. But hey, Colin, thanks for checking out the stream. I appreciate it. Well, that's gonna about do it, guys. We are here in Farmington, one step closer to LA. I promise we're gonna get there soon. I appreciate you guys checking out the stream. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the like button and hit that little bell icon so you can catch the next episode of FSEconomy getting this SR20 to Hawaii. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for you guys participating in the chat, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care, guys.